George here again. We are back in TibiaME, and I am still not quite gonna advance the plot, such as it is. But I actually have a little self-imposed plot stroke quest of my own here. Let me see. I want to go this way. What I want to do is, I've in TibiaME you get this one island with the city of Aurea here on it as basically your freebie, and then you have to pay, I guess, to get access to others. Which is fine. We're being followed by that's what that's all about. But you have to pay to get access to other parts of the world, which I'm totally fine with. It's only fair to. That's the Magic Academy. It's only fair to pay for more content, right? But something I'm curious about, and which nobody ever really seems to quite explain in any sort of meaningful way, how big is the default island? Exactly. So what I'm going to try to do is circumnavigate the island here as much as possible. Obviously, you can't completely walk along the coastline, but I'm going to do the best I can manage here. So, we shall see. And if you're one of those people who's been religiously following my TibiaME misadventures, you may be looking at my map and being like, George, when were you over here? Well, I sort of made another video a couple of days ago, which I'm not intending to upload. Basically, I wandered around and explored a little bit, and spent the whole time talking about games that weren't TibiaME, which is sort of awkward. And since I can't imagine that you are actually here for my views on like other games and their successes in creating environments conducive to virtual settlements, we'll just pretend that never happened. You're not missing much. It wasn't very exciting. Let's see. Is this... I think this is just a little river kind of thing here. I think the landmass continues this way. I mean, it's an open world, right? I'm free to wander, even if I am wandering into parts of the world that want me to be much higher level than I am, for some reason. You know you've taken a wrong turn at Albuquerque when you encounter people and they're like, "You fool, you have to be at least level 50 to do what I need you to do." And I'm like level 9. So yeah, things may have gone not so according to plan. So, anyway. Anyway, how are you doing today, Internet? It's very cold here. Very cold indeed. It was something like negative 25 Celsius yesterday, which is not so pleasant to be out in. Also, I am still unemployed, in case you were wondering. Still fantastically depressed. And one of my cats is dying of congestive heart failure. So, it's kind of been a week. But hey, more stars. Is this the West Coast, I wonder, or is this just a giant bay? Somebody better on the coast, nobody better on the bay. Sorry, don't mind me, just being weirder than usual. I don't know why I like doing this. It's the explorer in me. One of the first things I did when I played Morrowind years and years and years and years and years ago was to completely circumnavigate the world there. I remember it taking like almost a month in game. And I remember a ludicrous number of cliff racers. And that's about all I remember. But still, it's fun to know, if not the lay of the land, but at least the shape of the world. Sounds very Age of Enlightenment, doesn't it? Know the shape of the world. That, of course, is something that was debated at great length through human history. If you ever get a chance to read scientific magazines of the Edwardian hornet's nest, I'm not going to go in there, I don't think. If you ever get a chance to read science magazines of the Edwardian or late Victorian era. I highly recommend it. I can't think of any of the titles offhand, but you can find them fairly easily at archive.org or in Google Books, and it's really fun. You know, if you start around 1880 or thereabouts, which is when a lot of the magazines started up anyway. So, but if you start right around there, it doesn't seem like that long ago. You're only talking 140 years, really? 130 years? You know, that kind of thing. You know, it doesn't seem like a huge, great distance ago, but I can go back there. Cool. But, you know, electricity was in its infancy, and it's really curious what this place is. Electricity was in its infancy, and all the fun things people were doing with incredibly dangerous materials. Well, hopefully, I should probably read the sign. Will hopefully make you cringe. Mount Sternanium. Something tells me I shouldn't be here. Yeah, I'm just gonna head back out so as not to derail myself from the thing here. You know, one I particularly remember I saw the other day was instructions on how to make something called a Gessler tube, which is apparently somewhat akin to a neon tube. And all you need are a couple pieces of... emergent. All you need are a couple pieces of platinum wire, some glass tubing, a Bunsen burner, and a pound and a half of liquid mercury. Totally safe. Oh, this takes me to other places. Thanks, but no thanks. Am I at the northwesternmost tip of the island here? But it's really interesting to see in amongst all these descriptions of new kinks in electric motor building, and that's what they called, like, tips and tricks at one point. Kinks. Go figure. But in the midst of all this stuff about building electrolytic rectifiers, let's see what this place is. Briefly. You'll get things like, you know, dear editor, I've heard compelling arguments that the sun's orbit around the Earth is eccentric. You know, is there a formula to describe this? And it's weird to think of this sort of confusion. Orcish goods welcome you. I suspect I can't afford anything. That's underwhelming. But it's weird to think that we had electricity and we hadn't completely hashed out, you know, how the universe works just yet. To be fair, in 1880, I'm not 100% sure we had alternators yet. No, we must have had alternators. But the really early press is all full of Wimshurst machines, static generators, and spark gap machines. Fun stuff. Although I have to say the British magazines are generally more useful than the anything in there? Money? No. All right. The British magazines are generally a little more useful than the American ones, because apparently Americans like to just buy their materials ready-made. Nothing there either. Whereas the Brits seem more inclined to make them. So in the American magazines, you get fun things like, acquire a gutta percha crushed humans. No, thank you. You get fun things like acquire a gutta percha 4 ampere hour wet battery enclosure, which, sure. I suspect that was fairly easy to do 130 years ago in most major cities. Today, not so much. And the slightly irksome thing is good luck figuring out how big such a thing is. Whereas the Brits are like, oh, well, you could buy a battery case from a stockist in any moderate-sized city, but no true Scotsman would do such a thing. When he could simply carve a wooden form to, this shape, giving the dimensions, and then mold hard rubber around it. And so when you can no longer just go out and buy wet battery cases, the British let's make everything approach is slightly more interesting. But dang it, Internet, here I am again playing Tibia and not talking about Tibia. So, don't mind me. So, I think we have found the furthest west we can go. Bad monsters in there. Be careful if you really must enter. It smells like step 20 of some other quest. And I think the starting city, what was that, Aurea or something? I think that's the furthest, very nearly the furthest east you can go. So I might have roughly mapped out. Ruh-roh, got ourselves a peninsula. So I might have roughly mapped out the extents of the island. And what are you? With your fences and your farm plots. Nothing interesting. I don't think anything interesting. Nope. Oop. Star. Ooh, I got an achievement. They said I was mad. Mad, I tell you, but no. There was method to my non-committal. Let's see if I can get across there. Still not very competent at fighting, but oh well. Anyhow, back to the coast. Another star. Wonder how many I've found. Island stats. 28. Well, that's underwhelming. There is a river in my way. Well, fortunately, it's only a brief detour. Death to danger noodles. Right. 29 stars. Really? We're going to do this? All right. I walked to the post office the other day to mail something I'd sold on eBay to be able to afford food. And because of the snow and ice, there are a lot of terrible people who don't shovel their sidewalks ever. And so because of the snow and ice everywhere, I took a route I don't normally take. And I wound up going past a couple people with dogs in their yards and that I don't normally walk past. And uniformly, every one of those dogs hated me. Just as soon as I got a couple houses away, they would just start growling and everything and barking. And I figured that's what it's like to be the hero in an RPG, you know? Everything wants to kill you. Not that I needed to go not that I needed to be in my 40s and go to the post office in the snow to figure this out. I experienced the same phenomenon in high school. Being a geek in a school full of jocks gives you much the same perspective. Anyway, that is, I believe, the island circumnavigated. So, not as big as I thought it would be, but still pretty good size, let's be honest here. And there is a goodly amount of stuff crammed into this island. And of course, a couple layers of underground underneath the island. Just to really, woo, money. Just to really add value. So, yeah. Let's see. Do I have one of those? What is that? Yes, but what is it? That was not what I wanted. Not what I wanted either. Yeah, all right. Do I have space in my thingy? Yeah. I found a mirror somewhere. I don't know what it's for. Little sword. Okay, that's what I thought. You wouldn't think you'd find a quality weapon lying around in the middle of nowhere. And you'd be right. So, alright, let's head back and now that my inventory is really, really full, and I've circumnavigated the island, back to town, sell some stuff, end of this video, I think, and then next time we shall get on with the next plot, the next part of the plot. And then, kill a bunch more wildlife and maybe make some more money. Because it's good to have dreams, right? Okay. Okay. Sell that, I think. The mirror must be important because I can't sell it. So we'll figure out what that's about. Let's see, I've got almost 700. Is there anything I can buy? Here's a little old lady selling armor, I think. Anything I can... Nope. There are things I can afford, but not that I can actually use. Don't particularly feel like customizing my appearance. Thanks all the same. And so, yeah, let's head back over to the main thingy here and gonna compulsively collect that star. Just for giggles. And then call it a day here, Internet. So, what do we learn? Surprisingly large island. Obviously, still haven't seen most of the interior. That'll happen in due time, I suspect. But quite a large area. Surprisingly large, in fact, considering that there's how many other islands? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're not going to count that one. 13, 17 other islands of various sizes. This one's got 168 stars. So if we assume that that's a decent indication of size, you know, square kilometerage or whatever, Fabulara would seem to be about the same size. Banuna, half again larger. Solomar, you know, a third smaller. So, a pretty good sized game world, all things considered. Color me kind of impressed, especially for the age, you know. I mean, heck, there's a lot of newer games with much smaller game worlds. so, anywho, that's it for today, Internet. Be kind to one another, and Watch out for black ice. Yeah.